welcome to New Jersey Politics with Laura Jones. I am Laura Jones, and we are so glad to have you here. Today, we are talking about public transportation in New Jersey's rural areas, a bill to fight human trafficking, and another bill to eliminate small business income from income taxes. Standing by to talk about that is Assemblyman Michael Inganamort. First, though, we're going to be talking about a growing concern here in New Jersey, and that is the underfunding and understaffing of county agencies responsible for delivering anti-poverty assistance to thousands of residents. Joining us is Joanne McWilliams, president of the CWA Local 1087. Joanne, thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me, Laura.
Joanne, let's start by talking about the basics. What do county welfare boards do, and what is the main issue they're facing right now?
So we are tasked to accept applications and to process applications for vital services to residents of New Jersey. And that would include Medicaid, cash assistance, which we call TANF for general assistance, emergency assistance for people who are about to be homeless or are homeless, and for SNAP, which we used to call food stamps. Here in New Jersey, over 850,000 people receive food stamps. And that's a tremendous task for us to try to process.
Yeah. So what exactly is happening right now? You're undergoing a staffing crisis, so can you tell me a little bit about what that looks like and what it means for your staff and for people in our communities?
Well, caseloads have gone up about 20% in the past few years, but our staffing has been decreasing. And really what that means for people is that there aren't enough staff members to process the applications we have in a timely manner. People who are experiencing emergencies, they have to wait.
How long are they having? That's yeah. Do you care to share any stories about what you're hearing, what you're seeing?
Well, sure. Let's look at Medicaid. Let's assume, Laura, that you or I have an aging parent. They're not well. They haven't been well for a little while. They've been staying at home. We've been using their money to help them get some help at home. But we've really come to the point where it's not safe anymore for them to be at home. And they really do not have the resources to try to get into a nursing home. They've worked in this state their whole life. They've saved whatever they could, but the money is running out. So we go up to a social service agency or go online and make an application for adult Medicaid. And the adult Medicaid is a very complicated application. They're going to look back 5 years to see where you've spent your money, how you've spent your money. It's not an easy thing to file, and it's not an easy application for us to process.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Let's say there are 900 pending applications at a social service office right now for adult Medicaid.
And
let's say there are 11 workers that are able to process those applications. These applications are going to sit on the shelf for 6 or 8 or 9 months. Unfortunately, while our parent is not able to stay at home and we don't have the resources to send them someplace. I can't quit my job. This becomes a crisis. This becomes a crisis for the whole family, waiting for this processing. So, that's an example I could give you.
Yeah, and you did describe, I have aging parents there in Florida, and I have high school children, stuck in between trying to do things. There is, getting into nursing homes, getting into these longer care facilities, not only as a process, but whatever savings you have. This isn't about, being destitute, but you can become destitute trying to navigate. I guess what I'm trying to say is you save and save and save all of your life, and you can't necessarily prepare for the extraordinary expense of long-term care, of having in-home help care. So can you talk a little bit more about, what the number of people that you are trying to help and the real issues out there?
Like we mentioned, it's a major problem and it's a crisis. So I kind of said earlier, There is an agency that has 900 adult Medicaid applications on the shelf. You technically can have no resources to be eligible for this program. So you have to have spent it all down. That leaves you with no money to do anything with, to bring somebody into your house, to get assistance, or to try to bring them someplace to get assistance. They need this program for that.
Yeah.
We need, technically, we need more people.
Yeah.
We can't continue without more people.
Why are you not getting the people you need in order to process? So let me just start there. Why don't you have enough people?
Well, I would say somewhere around COVID, Laura, people started to reconsider their employment at social service agencies. Some of it because there was no school. Their children couldn't go to school. They couldn't come to work. Many counties did not offer work-at-home options. So if you couldn't come to work, you couldn't get paid. Over the years, county agencies really stopped keeping up with progressive pay. And compared to other places in New Jersey to work, the pay is low. And Chris Christie, a number of years ago, introduced legislation to make state workers and local workers pay quite a lot of money for their health insurance. So on top of having low wages, the benefits are expensive. And people really found during COVID that they could find jobs other places that were more flexible, paid more money, had better benefits, just as good benefits. I mean, one example I could give you from Monmouth County, and that is where I work, is Social Security gets a lot of our people. So if they've been working in Medicaid, Social Security would really love to have them. And they go over maybe at a little less pay than they're making today at our agency, doing very similar processing work. But at the end of 3 years, they're making more than you could make after 20 years at social services.
Yeah. So,
and that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So what does it mean for the people who are having to wait all of this time? You're short-staffed, you don't have the resources you need. Once you finally make it through the paperwork and make it, do people have what they need, or is that a crisis as well?
As far as what?
As far as resources, are there enough spaces for people? Are there resources? Once you find, people are waiting months and months. First of all, what are they doing in these months and months? And then once they finally make it through all the paperwork, are they actually getting the help that they need?
Right. So there'd be two different categories, right? The first category would be somebody who's at home, who needs to be placed in a nursing home, has run out of money. They're going to be on the goodwill of their family.
If they have family. If they do have family.
If they have family.
A lot of people don't.
Right. Am I going to be willing to take money out of my 401k to try to bridge the gap for my mom to go to the nursing home? Now, what I will tell you is once the application is processed, I will not be reimbursed.
Oh, it doesn't go retroactive.
It would go retroactive if I made an application and I was already living in a nursing home and I had been self-paying all along, and I make an application. In that case, it would go retroactive.
Okay.
But if I have somebody who's willing to put money up for me, no, it would not go retroactive.
Okay.
And quite unfortunately, people do pass away while they're waiting for their applications to be processed. It's very sad.
It's
very stressful. It's very stressful on the workers because we care about the clients. We want them to get the benefits. But when you're looking at 900 applications on a shelf, every single one of them is urgent.
Who have you gone to for help, and what type of reaction are you getting? Are you getting help? I mean, you say go to the government for help. I mean, it is. So who are you reaching out to say, hey, we need resources, we need people. People are literally dying.
So we've all gone to our county agencies to speak to them about it. And honestly, it's not that they're not trying to hire people. They're at job fairs, they're advertising, they really are trying to hire people. But until the starting wages are increased and something is done about the cost of health care, it's not going to make a difference. And the people that we do get are not really well qualified people. They're not the kind of people that could process something like this. It's very complicated work. There's a lot of accounting involved. So people come, they stay for a little while, maybe a couple of weeks, a couple of months. They see how difficult it is. They see how much money they're getting for it, and they just leave.
Yeah.
Which starts the whole process again, because it takes us about a whole year to fully train somebody, to be qualified to process a case on their own. For that first year, they're getting help the whole way.
Yeah, I mean, people who go into social services, who go into this type of industry, they're not doing it for the money to begin with. I'm assuming they're doing it because they care about people, but you're saying that they're simply not able to do their jobs. And so even those who want to help aren't able to. Similar to what sometimes you see in education as well. Teachers who want to be able to teach, but they aren't given the resources that they need.
I mean, when you come into a job and the pay is low, and you're college educated, so perhaps you have student loans that you have to pay. You're going to have rent you have to pay, other expenses. You can't spread the money thin enough to pay the bills that you have. And unfortunately, some of the people that we hire are actually eligible for our benefits. They're eligible for SNAP or they're eligible for Medicaid because, the pay is low.
Yeah. Well, Joanne, we thank you for the time that you took to speak with us today, and we'd love to have you back. Keep us posted on any developments, any other things that you can do to shed light to this issue, because God willing, we're all headed in that direction, and we may need help. No matter what type of savings you've done, when you need help, you need help.
So I'd just like to say, in conclusion, that on November 18th, our report will be coming out, really explaining what this crisis is, all the research that we did in order to get these numbers. And we hope that everybody gets an opportunity to read it, to understand it, and I'd love to come back.
Joanne McWilliams, thank you so much.
Hurry!
Nothing has ever been handed to me. I've had to work for it. On the field. And off the field. Kane worked with me, guided me, helped me climb higher, to get where I belong, to change my life.
Hey, welcome to the team.
Cougars climb higher. Kane University.
Today we're discussing small business taxes, doing business with Iran, and rural transportation in New Jersey, among other topics. Joining us to discuss is Assemblyman Michael Inganamort. Assemblyman, good to see you.
Thank you, Laura. Great to be on.
All right, first topic I want to talk about is a new program serving the elderly and disabled who don't have access to transit service. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Absolutely. This was the first bill of mine that has been signed into law by Governor Murphy. It was a bipartisan bill, passed both houses of the legislature unanimously. So I think we might have gotten something right here. And what that is expanding transportation options for senior citizens and in particular disabled residents of New Jersey. Folks in my part of the state, the northwest corner, and really any suburban to rural section of New Jersey is, in my view, underserved by New Jersey's public transportation system, despite paying into it through our state income taxes, through the gas tax, through the corporate business tax, the highest in the nation corporate business tax. And what this bill aims to do is ensure that we get some of those services back to those more rural communities in our state, specifically allowing the Access Link bus service that complements the light rail system in the state, allowing those Access Link vans to contract directly with private ride operators. That could be Uber, that could be Lyft, taxi cabs, it could be a limo for all we care. We just want to make sure that those Access Link vans serving the disabled and senior citizens are reaching more New Jerseyans, stretching deeper into the more suburban and rural areas of our state. Again, these are residents who are paying into the system. They're not being served by it, and this bill seeks to close that gap.
Can you tell me about some of the partnerships that you have teamed up with to achieve this? You mentioned Uber.
Absolutely. It can be any private entity that provides rides for individuals. Uber, Lyft, taxi cabs. I joke about the limousines, but if that's what folks want to take from A to B, that's perfectly okay. It needs to fit within a budget. It needs to fit within the routes currently served by those Access Link vans. And the idea here, Laura, is to get those disabled New Jerseyans, those senior citizens in New Jersey, get them from their homes via that private ride operator to their nearest bus station, to their nearest light rail station, which in parts of Sussex, Morris, Warren, even a lot of the more rural southern New Jersey counties, those train stations are not close by. So this is a really critical link in connecting these New Jerseyans to this otherwise pretty robust transportation system in the state.
Now, if you have a senior, someone disabled trying to navigate and figure it out, where do they go to get the information to see if they qualify, what kind of, if they have to pay out of their pocket to find out more?
Absolutely. So any resident who currently qualifies for the Access Link bus service, there are no changes to the criteria, no changes to the qualifications that are required to avail oneself of those services. All of that information remains on the Department of Transportation's website. We have actually at our legislative office talked with several individual residents and constituents who have been looking forward to using the service. Haven't used it yet, but very much looking forward to doing so. So the bottom line is, if you've used an Access Link van before or wanted to use an Access Link van because you qualified but just didn't have one in your neighborhood, now that service is going to be available to you.
Okay, that's good stuff, because as our population ages, trying to get from point A to point B, it can be very, very challenging, especially if you don't have family and friends nearby. So good
Absolutely.
stuff. Yeah.
All right. Absolutely, especially in those rural corridors.
Right. Oh yeah. So I want to switch gears, and also as people become older, even if they do have their own transportation, sometimes you don't want them driving after dark, especially with it getting dark so early
Great
now
point.
too. Yeah.
Absolutely, Laura. Great point.
Yeah. All right, so I want to switch gears and talk about a bill that you have that is actually helping combat human trafficking. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So listen, we're taking on every sort of issue that we can down in Trenton, and human trafficking, as you probably know and many viewers probably know, is just a scourge on our society. It is present in all 50 states. It is unfortunately present in all 21 New Jersey counties, and we're talking about two types of trafficking: labor trafficking and sex trafficking. There's more we need to do, I believe, to combat human trafficking, specifically on two fronts. The first is financial. So I've introduced legislation to expand the criminal code in New Jersey to increase the penalties for those individuals who are benefiting financially from human trafficking. Not the guy or gal in the room, not the guy or gal who is coordinating these illegal or illicit activities, but rather the people one step further removed who are benefiting from what's going on financially. Think about the nail salon that might be using illegal labor. It's not just the individual who is supervising those human slaves. I mean, that's a strong term, but I think it's accurate in a lot of these situations. Not just the individual who is quote unquote supervising those individuals, but the person at home who is profiting financially. So I'm excited about that legislation. We are working on bipartisan support to, as I said, expand the criminal code and ensure anyone benefiting from human trafficking, is held to the highest extent of the law. Yeah. The other side of this, Laura, has to do with protecting our children. We've found that children are especially vulnerable to the evil forces, I'll call them, of human trafficking and those who might recruit them online, whether that's on a home computer, a phone, particularly some of the social media sites. This has become a hive where some really dark and I would call them evil individuals are luring children into the human trafficking trade. And so what I've introduced is the Human Trafficking and Child Exploitation Act, which is essentially the state level equivalent of the federal Kids Online Safety Act, which has been getting a lot of buzz down in Washington, D.C., which would require age verification for any internet connected device in the state. So if you are under the age of 18, you would need to provide identification. And if you were under 18, you wouldn't be able to view some of these websites and known trafficking portals. If you're really over 18, that's a different story. And we're not going to nanny state what an individual cares to look at online, so long as it's legal. But we need to take extra precaution to protect our children from these things.
I think that what is really so frightening for so many families when you have children is, you might think human trafficking, oh, well, that's just somebody who lives in an urban area whose parents aren't around, they're, latchkey kids, they're not being supervised. But no, this is anybody can fall victim if they have an internet connection, if they have a social media account. These are the people who are being preyed upon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is present. It's been established. The Attorney General has shared the data. This is present in all 21 counties, urban, suburban, rural. It does not matter. We had a very tragic situation in New Jersey last year where a young girl from Bridgewater was lured into a human trafficking situation, forced to do incredibly awful things with other people. And fortunately, law enforcement was able to resolve that matter, rescue this young woman, and criminally prosecute those who did awful things to her. So our children are vulnerable. It doesn't matter where you live in the state. The community doesn't matter. The community profile doesn't matter. Human trafficking does not discriminate. Right. And we need to do all we can to protect all our New Jersey kids.
Yeah. Another bill that you're sponsoring is one that would limit state business with Iran. And I think a lot of people would say, what do you mean the state is doing business currently with Iran?
Well, here's what it comes down to, Laura. Under current New Jersey law, public contracts are allowed with energy companies connected to Iran so long as they are under a $20 million threshold. If I had a magic wand, or if I was the governor of New Jersey, I think that number should be zero. But nevertheless, I've introduced legislation to cut that threshold from 20 million down to 10 million, cut it in half, because I think it's a good opportunity to start the conversation with fellow legislators. This is not a topic that gets a lot of attention in Trenton or frankly in the media, but all 50 states have a role to play when it comes to isolating Iran. And I think New Jersey is uniquely situated. We are a wealthy, dynamic state that has quite a bit of international trade, international contracts coming into and out of our state. And I think we should do all we can to isolate Iran. And the bottom line here, Laura, is that no New Jersey tax dollar, no New Jersey dollar, no dollar that originates from our state should, in my opinion, find its way to Iran, where the regime in that country utilizes those dollars to fund regional terrorism and advance a nuclear program that threatens the region and the world. So I'd like to see New Jersey have no part in that business. We should be a leader in the country on this issue. We wouldn't even be a leader. New York is already doing this. They have eliminated the threshold. No public contracts whatsoever in the state of New York may be connected to Iran's energy sector. I'd like to see New Jersey catch up. Yeah.
Do you think, are you getting bipartisan support on that?
Well, we're having good conversations. We're having good indications. We're waiting for that bipartisan sponsor to hop on. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm not letting this issue go, and we're going to keep on working on it.
One final topic I want to get to, and that is your bill A4629. That would exclude small business income from income tax. So can you tell us a little bit about what's behind the bill and how it can help small businesses in New Jersey?
Absolutely. Well, Laura, a lot of this comes out of our experience during the COVID pandemic and the lockdowns during that pandemic, which not only hurt businesses in those years, but we're still feeling the effects today in a lot of ways. And I think that New Jersey's small businesses need a boost. And it's not just the individual businesses, but it's our small downtowns where these businesses tend to be located. And I think, once again, this needs to be an all of government approach, a bipartisan approach. The governor, the legislature, and local partners doing all we can to stimulate small business and to stimulate our small downtowns. These are the lifeblood of our communities. And I think exempting the first $50,000 of small business income in the state of New Jersey, which is what my bill would do, would be such a boost to the small businesses and the downtowns across New Jersey. Yeah. We're up against a lot of difficult forces in our economy. We're coming off of the COVID lockdowns. We're still struggling with record-breaking inflation, and we also have just tremendous changes in our consumer behavior. We're all guilty of this to a certain extent, where it's a whole heck of a lot easier to buy something on Amazon and get it delivered the next day or 2 days than it is to go downtown and support a local small business. I try to do that as much as I can, but Amazon sure is convenient. I think one way we can try to change that consumer behavior, or at least support the small businesses that are trying to make ends meet, is to make that first 50 grand of small business income tax-free. I think it would be a great jolt to our downtowns in New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, small businesses are the backbone of the economy. Are you getting help from places like New Jersey Business and Industry Association? How is this being met so far in the legislature?
Absolutely.
And also with small businesses?
Yep, we're talking to the NJBIA, we're talking to the Chamber, we're talking to the National Federation of Independent Businesses. We're getting a great response from folks at the organizational level, but we're also just talking to small business owners in the downtowns I represent, from Chester Borough to Branchville to Andover, you name it. The small business owners that I talk to would very much welcome some tax relief generally, and in this case, targeted at small business income. It would really, I think that the return on such a modest, income tax relief would really be felt in a positive way in our downtowns.
Well, Assemblyman, you've certainly been busy in Trenton. First time you've been on the show, and we'd love to have you back on to talk more about some of these and other issues that you're working on. You're very, very busy in Trenton. So we thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
I appreciate it, Laura. Look forward to joining you again soon.
Absolutely. We appreciate your time. And that's going to do it for today. I'm Laura Jones. Thanks so much for watching New Jersey Politics. We look forward to seeing you back here next time.
Some of the biggest challenges I face as a student athlete is managing my athletic work and my schoolwork.
To prevent our student athletes from falling into academic distress, we created a program called Gamer. Each team works with an athletics academic liaison to increase graduation and retention rates.
The turning point that I saw is my grades went up.
What has helped me the most is definitely tutoring. My academics have just skyrocketed.
The ultimate goal is for our student athletes to have that championship moment on the field and day of graduation.